What's up, everybody? Adam Garley from the Garley's Garage. Today is FXR Tank Day. Yay!
Sorry, bro, but this show's about me.
What I'm doing right now is there's this ugly. I don't like that hissing sound. It drives me nuts. There's an ugly seam that, like, just when you touch it, you can feel it from the factory tank. And I just think it's horrible. And it's really rough feeling. And I don't like it. I'm just knocking the little high spots off. And then I'm knocking the high spots off on this side. So it has a nice little smoothness to it. More rounded. It's going to be nice and smooth. Like your babe's butt. Anyways, so I think I'm gonna do that. So then I'm gonna grab a mock-up motor. We're gonna slam it in the bike real quick. We're gonna check some clearances because I've been seeing people modify their gas tanks. There's something that I don't like about them, and you're gonna see. We're gonna do something about it. I think it's gonna be kind of cool. So let's get after it. All right, so I got it pretty much all cleaned up. There's a couple spots right here that I don't really want to grind too much because, like I said, I don't want to hurt the integrity of the tank. But I just wanted it to feel nice. So, like, cruise down the road, wrap your hand around, like, yeah. Got some mods we're about to do, and when we're doing that, we should be able to get into the tank. Oh, I've said too much, but I'll say it again. We'll be able to get into the tank and try to tap this little crease. It's not a crease yet, but it's like a straight dent. And then there's a good old ball peen looking dent. We're gonna get rid of these. I don't like this big chunky piece, and I just saw a bike that was getting modified and customized, and it still has this. Like, they're moving mounts and doing some stuff, and they're reusing this, and I just think it's ugly. Like, I'm shaving mine off. Dumb, right? Anyways. So back in my chopper days, these, I don't even know who made them, but these are like chopper gas tank mounts, but these are like CNC billet machined. Looks really cool compared to these that you get. They're just a chunk of raw steel, been cut, milled, and then drilled and tapped. But I mean, it's just a block. It's a heavy block. This thing weighs half as much as this big little chunk does. And it's a little bit longer. You can cut it to fit, but I kind of want it to stick out as far as possible so that way it holds the gas tank very well. It's just so nice and clean. So yeah, we're gonna chopper mount the front of the gas tank. So just picture the gas tank like normal soft tail bagger tanks where it's just round and you don't have this ugly looking thing sticking out. And then with the smooth neck, come on, you gotta picture it with me. Picture that without that piece, just a nice smooth piece in there, and this is all nice and gloss black, just looking all cool. And then these are gonna be mounted way under here, because it'll be flush with under here. So like, you won't see any front hardware at all. It'll only be the 2 bolts in the back, and it's covered by the seat. Now tell me, you can't go wrong with that. That's just gonna look so good. I'm gonna mount the front of the gas tank like normally, like you would normally mount a gas tank on an FXR, and then I will do the reliefs, and I'll weld in all the pockets, and I'll weld in the mount tab, the mount tab, whatever you wanna call it, that goes on the frame, that stays on the frame. I'm gonna weld all of that stuff on, and then I'll remove the bolt, cut the front of the gas tank mount, original gas tank mount off, smooth that out, bodywork that, weld up the hole where the original mount was at, because I want the tank to sit where it was normally. I think it's just got a nice natural flow to it, and it's not broken, so I'm not going to fix it as far as the way it sits. So that's what I'm going to do. Kind of want to see how bad these... Okay, I was talking about the dents. That's the first one I gotta get rid of. Yeah, that's the second one. Remember I told you it's kind of long looking? It wasn't a crease, but it's a long dent, like fork tube type dent, but that would have been up here, but that type of... So we gotta knock it out. All right, let me get a motor thrown in this thing, and then we can just check. And the reason I'm putting a motor in here and not just doing it is I want to make sure wherever I put these things that I can get to it and remove the gas tank without the motor being in the way, or rocker boxes. I don't want to get in there and loosen up the bolt and I can't take the bolt out to take the gas tank off because the motor's in the way. So that's why I would love to do that. So, all right, let me go grab a motor. All right, so motor's in. Transmission's in and swing arm's in because I wanted to make sure the drivetrain is pretty much where it's going to be. I got some gap here and stuff like that. I don't want to put it back here, which would be easy to put the bolts in and out for the gas tank. I'd rather put it up here, but man, that's pretty close to the heads. It's getting kind of dark outside, kind of late. I know it doesn't seem like I did much, but I kind of did a lot because I had to go all the way upstairs and dig this motor out, and kind of gets exciting mocking it up to this point, but still a long way to go. So I'm going to call it a night. I will see y'all tomorrow and we'll go from there. We'll pick up from there. So, all right, later. Good morning. So, going to get back on the gas tank. Yeah, it's one of those deals where I've been sleeping a couple of days since I was cleaning the edges and stuff, and so I started thinking and looking and doing other stuff, and then come back and look at it. So I think I got a game plan what we're gonna do today. It's like 7:15 Sunday morning. I'm tired. Sorry. Yeah, so basically what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and take the gas tank off. I cleaned up a little bit prior to pushing start and everything. I did go ahead and mark where I want to put these chopper mounts at, so that way I have an idea of where I want them to go. I was kind of thinking it was going to take me a little bit longer to get started on this project because these aren't wide enough. These are for more like chopper tanks that only have like a 1 and something wide backbone. This FXR's got like a 2-inch or bigger wide backbone, so these are way too short. But I went up into the old trusty mezzanine and I found another one for the rear, so it's a front and a rear on the chopper. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this one long, and then I'll cut this one long as well. It's going to be mounted pretty much like right here. I got it kind of marked on the tank where approximately where I want these mounts. What the hell was that? It sounded like a bird flew into the garage door. Dumb bird. Stupid bird. Let me go grab another grommet and an Allen wrench so we can get these set in there and we can start kind of taking measurements and sitting them in there. We can draw out, scribe out everything that we want to do, and then we'll cut this tank open and let's get this done today. Let's go. Okay. So of course, just looking at this tunnel here, I can see that I have it in the marks in two different spots. It's a little off, so let's just shoot the gap. Let's just go right in the middle of where this is. Yeah, so see, this one is about right here is where I marked it on the frame, and then the other one's back here. If we put something square in here, you can see this one's up there, and this one's down here. Yeah, let's just go with the front edge. That's where we're putting these bad boys. And they're gonna sit like this. See this? Really, this kind of sits up where this sits down. I guess this is for rocker box clearance, and this one doesn't really have a whole lot of rocker box area to worry about. So I'm gonna go with a rough mark of where this is supposed to go. This is the hard part because this isn't flat like that one. That's gonna be the easy one because it's flat. Doesn't that look crazy huge? It looks so much bigger just because of the fact that it goes down, it dips down. I'm probably gonna regret this, but I think it's gonna really put this gas tank over the top. So what's cool about these ones is if you notice, see how it has that lip on there? So what you're gonna do is you're gonna cut the hole so that this just fits in that deal, and then you just burn that lip right into the edge, and then you can just body fill right over your weld, and you have a strong weld, won't ever crack. Plus that lip kind of helps the gas tank hold on there, so that'd be kind of cool. So after thinking about it, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and mount this right-hand side one, get this cut out, this get ready to get fit. Go ahead and knock out that dink there. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm probably cut out this piece, then I can measure how thick this metal is. I'm gonna make a cutout for this with like extra material around it, and then I'm gonna bend it and fold it however I think necessary. So that way that's the piece that I'm gonna cut out, set this in there, and then weld that external piece out there. This will be welded to that little piece that I make, but then I can kind of bend it and contour it and form it so that way it sits how I want it to sit around that other piece, and then I can weld it out here, and it'll make all of this transition look better than just like this huge deep pocket. Actually, no, I'm gonna make a deep pocket for this piece. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna make a flat plate that's just a little bit wider than this. So this can be welded there, and then I'm gonna get a piece of flat metal and I'm gonna make a horseshoe mount, and then I'll weld that to the flat plate. And then once that's welded like that, then when I sit it in there, then I'll just weld it to this outside edge that I cut out, and it'll just be sunk down. That'll make it a lot easier. I was trying to figure a way where I could cut this and bend it down and all that stuff. I just think a slot in there that's already welded to this on the inside edges and stuff. It's because if it was on this edge, it'd be a lot easier because you would just slide it there and then just weld all your stuff and blah, blah, blah. But it's not, it's the other way. I gotta go this way. Not this way. I gotta go this way. So that's where I was kind of having some brain fog. So let me get this one cut out. We'll get this one ready. Tap that out. We'll cut this opening out. Tap out that dent. And then we can go from there. God. Sparks are bouncing off the tunnel and smacking me right in my face. On with the mask. As you can see, I'm cutting just on the inside of that scribe line, so that way once I put it in there, then I can file it or sand it or whatever I need to do to make it fit correctly. Oh yeah, and just FYI, don't do this. Don't be cutting on a tank that's had gas in it recently. That's one way to blow up your tank. Best thing to do is rinse it out with some water. Like put the garden hose in there, let it bubble all the water out. Sorry. Once all the water's bubbled out, because gas rises to the top, so if you put the hose in like from the bottom of the tank, it'll fill up the tank and all of the gas should flow out because it's sitting on top of the water and should go all out. Once you do that, let it run for 5-10 minutes like that. Then drain the tank, blow it all out, put some acetone in there, swish it around, blow that out. That gets all the water out. then you should have a pretty good tank to be able to grind on. If you have like a torch or something like that, you might just kind of like put the torch head in the tank with the tank sitting on the floor, not on a bench, because if it bounces or something like that, it might fall off the bench. But put a little torch, make sure there's no fumes, because it's not the gas that ignites, it's the fumes. So if you got a little bit of gas in a little pocket, it's creating fumes, and so once that flame hits that fume, boom, that's when you get your little baby explosion. So that's what I do. If you are ever welding on a gas tank, you want to do the same process, and then you want to hook up argon. So you want to do it like if you're purge welding something, put the argon in there, and then you weld on the gas tank. And let the argon run for a while and cap it all off with just a hole at the very top, because that'll get all the oxygen out of there, and you'll be welding on the inside as you're welding on the inside as you're welding on the outside, if that makes sense. That's how you weld stainless steel pipes when you're doing the pipe cut pipes. But yeah, so don't blow yourself up, okay? So what I did is I cut it as a square, and now I'm going to cut the circle out by using what... Whoa, whoa! My magnet from my microphone stuck to the tank. Got a little too close. Okay, test, sorry about that. So now what I'm going to do, because I'm not reusing this part, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut little slits up and down, up and down, up and down, and then I'll come by with the tip of it and knock them all out of there. So that's what I meant by cutting little slits. Should properly be mounted. You should be able to put it in, and it sits right in there. Now to me it kind of looks like it's a little bit but I'm gonna probably make a plate that's this wide that sits in here and sits as far as the other one. That way they're perfectly symmetrically square. So I have wiggle room to where I can grind over here a little bit and over here a little bit, so that way I can get it to just adjust and it still has the overlap. And then if you see, there's overlap in there. So that way I can weld right across there, do a little bit of grinding, and it should flow and look perfectly symmetrical. You want to see it on the bike real quick before we do any more welding and stuff? I'm not sure what this is focusing on, but I don't like the angle that's in, so I'm gonna have to figure something out to get it leveled out. That's a bummer. But that's the world of custom. You gotta measure twice, cut once. In this application, I didn't know, it's hard to tell, but yeah, so basically where it's cut down and notched to, that needs to be completely flattened out. So let me show you. So basically what needs to happen is, see this depth? Dang it. These damn magnets. Actually, real quick, I want to explain something about these types of mounts. It's not like a regular flush type of mount. So let me explain this one. So if you have it mounted like this, like flat, the gas tank, you unbolt it and you pick it straight up, right? Well, if you have it mounted like at an angle, you can't pick the gas tank straight up. You have to go forward. So if you go forward and then lift the tank up to clear this, sometimes when you pick up the gas tank, you gotta go forward and up. So you wreck into the triple trees, the bars, the risers type of thing. So that's why I prefer my mounts to be as straight up and down. So I just lift straight up and move the tank out of the way. So that's why I don't care for it being pointed like that. That's kind of chopper mentality while building this. So I want my gas tank, undo the front two bolts, the back two bolts, just lift it up and out. So I tried cutting this so I could hammer this down, but now see how it just falls through. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop that on the floor. I'm going to go ahead and clean all of this out. And then I think from here, I'm just going to cut up and around to here and cut that out and just be done with it. I'm going to put that piece that I dropped on the floor, here's the other one. I'm going to weld this back on. Just put a tack here and a tack over here, some good tacks. And then I'm going to tap this down where I think it needs to be, put it on the bike and double check. And then once I get that figured out, I'll cut this out. Then I can go ahead and tack that in a couple of spots so that way it's set where it needs. It is sitting where it needs to be. And then I will cut a piece of sheet metal that'll have this curve, and I'll set it on there, and then I'll mark where I did my cut, and then we'll lay that piece. I don't need this tab anymore, so I think it will look a lot more factory if I just weld that piece back in here that flows down and sits underneath this piece and ties in here, so that way when I weld all of this and grind it smooth, it'll look factory. So that's what I'm going to do on this one. And then once we get this one done and squared or close to square, before we weld it all in, we'll cut this one out. We'll make that piece, set it in there, and then we'll run a bar. Like I said, we're going to run a bar that's this wide straight across, make sure they're exactly where they're supposed to be, and then we'll come through and weld it all in. So remember I told you I was going to do big tacks. Well, I didn't do big tacks. I just did decent tacks. So there's some tacks. Kind of got this a little bit straightened out. Remember I told you I was going to cut that open. I'll clean it up. I might make it more square, or I don't know.
That looks pretty damn good to me. I think I'm going to go ahead and get my little level. I won't be able to film it. I'm going to get my little level on the backbone, and then I'll get the level on the actual tank mount. Like right here, I'll put the level here, and then I'll straddle it across this to make sure that they're at the same angle. And if they are, then that's where that piece will live.
Now, because we're making an insert, I can go ahead and cut this one at the actual line. Yeah, I can go ahead and cut it at the actual line so I can get a depth, because I need to put some sort of flat edge there, but that way I can set a flat edge there, and then I can measure down from here down, so I know how much material to make my round piece. And then I'm going to bevel or round over the edges. And then once I do that, then I can make my flat piece that's going to sit in, weld that together, and then we'll slide it in there and make sure everything lines up. So. Measure it out. So you go like that, and then you go like this, and you go, bloop, oh, way over. So let's cut it here. Made my base plate that this is going to be welded to. So that'll be nice and flat. Now I kind of think I want to, well, shit, Adam. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and design some pieces, and I'm gonna cut them out on the plasma table, because I think with this one being so deep, it's going to be a pain in the ass to get the tank off, because it's got to lift way high to clear that, to where this one it doesn't. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to design it to where this part is going to be pretty sharp down, but it's going to come out like this one. So I will make me a piece this big that goes around that. I'm going to cut it straight and across, get that piece to sit in there, and then I'll just bend it nice and curved around here, bend it up, scribe it, cut it down, weld it in there, and then I will make the same piece, but on this side, but I'll make this side longer so that way I bend it up and then I'll put a curved piece in here that blends into the rest of this. Yo, I'm not even gonna lie. This is effing cheating, bro. So all of that work, I guess all of that work that I was doing lets you know that it can be done with normal hand tools. Unfortunately for you guys, I have a plasma table. So look at the perfect notch. It's the full panel with everything that I need. Fits perfect. There's no like little to no wiggle. I mean, come on. So this is the one for the one side. Goes like that. So then you're like, how is that a matching one, Adam? Like, that doesn't make sense. Well, here's what it's about. Then I grab these. Let me get these welded and then I'll show you. Hold on. That was kind of embarrassing. Ooh. Okay, so I got it welded in. I was going to show you. The reason why this one looks kind of funny is because I want to have as little welds as possible. So what I decided to do is I'm going to hold this. So now I have my edge. It's got a nice rounded edge there. Now, so now I got it rounded over. Now this is a little extra, yeah. Now what I can do, see that nice little pocket? So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna get this and tap it in real tight and get it nice and tight. I'm gonna TIG weld it from the inside, right across there. That looks so good. Tell you what, it's hard work being this damn good. I know, that was pretty stuck up. So this actually needs to get bent really sharp and then relax some of this curve out of it. I may have cut it a little bit too short on that side. Damn it. Oh, snap. Before I get carried away with this side and doing all the finishing, I gotta make sure that this side's gonna be level as well. So, because I can already see that I cut it kind of down on this side, up on this side. So now I need to find that piece. Here it is. And start kind of scribing and digging this bad boy in. But I already started marking this because that's going to go across here. So this is turning out really nice. So now that I got that big hole in the tank, I thought, well, maybe I'll just try my dolly from the inside and then my hammer from the outside. Oops, wrong side. Still low. Whoops, whoops. So it's getting a lot of it out. That actually feels really good. Actually, it feels a little high. Well, it sure looks perfect, doesn't it? But I know it's not. It's low right there. Dude, I can live with that. That's damn near, to me, perfect. So, pretty damn good if I'm okay with it. Lots of failures today. Gas tank didn't get done. I made this piece here. but holy crap, it looks like crap. That's too many possibilities for leaks. Trying to keep it square. One side looked totally different than the other. Like, it just wasn't going good. I mean, this one has like a lot of room. This one has like no gap, so that wasn't working. I ended up cutting the crap out of the tank, so there's huge holes, and now I can go all the way through. I can do all the body work. So I did at least get that dent and that dent out. What I ended up doing is designing a new one piece. So this is gonna lay in the tunnel, and that's gonna keep my blocks completely straight. I don't have a brake. That's one tool I do not have is a brake. So what's gonna have to happen is I gotta go to my buddy's shop to finish bending this, because just these were a pain in the butt. I got 2 more. I gotta bend it long ways, like here has to come up, and then these have to come in. So I gotta cut a couple of reliefs and do my bends, and then weld it up, and then I'll have like 1, 2, 3, 4 welds in this piece here, not including these pieces. Then once I get that kind of in there and kind of marked exactly where it goes and fit, then I can slice it right down the middle where the tunnel's at, fold these down, and then I can scribe, and then I can weld inside the tunnel. So I should have everything. I mean, I have a game plan for the third try. I'm just gonna cross my fingers. Leave everything exactly the way it is. It is so humid because of all the rain lately. Like, I don't know how I'm gonna do it. Outside it's not bad. It's in the shop that it stinks, and I have the doors open to pull the breeze through it, and it's not doing it. So anyways, I'll catch back up with you after I get those things bent, get back to the shop, and then try to get back on this tank. What a bummer. I spent all day. I was hoping to have the tank completely done today and working on the oil tank mods. All right, see you guys tomorrow. Or for you guys, it'll be later. For me, it'll be tomorrow, a couple days, but I'm out. Well, that sucks. So, just got back from my buddy Tony Cano. He's got a few tools that I don't have, so I borrowed his Bailey magnetic bender thing and a little bit of elbow grease, and I've made this origami piece. So I made it one piece, but I couldn't get it to fit in there to kind of adjust things and see where I needed to bend stuff and all of that crap, so I ended up having to cut it in half. But at least this way now I'm gonna have less bends, so I'll have strength in the corners. And then what I'm gonna do is I will cut, sorry, you couldn't see any of that. So I'm gonna cut this, and then I'll be able to weld it front and back, grind it smooth so it doesn't look like there was anything ever there. I'll be able to cut this one here, cut that straight across, push them together, weld it both sides, grind it smooth so you'll never even notice that it was done. I want as much strength in the corners as possible, and then this one's gonna, where the tank rolls over, this is gonna butt up to it, and then I can weld it across there, so that way the tank bottom is gonna be nice and rounded. So it should be very strong, I'm hoping, but I just wanted to show you my origami prior to me welding it all up and metal finishing it. So let me get this done and I'll show you what I come up with. Again. So I got them welded up, got them test fitted in there, and I'm really happy with the way this 3rd gen came out. So yeah, come take a look. I still have to massage them in there and get them all fitted in there, but the outside stuff and where I'm gonna be welding, I think came out really nice. Check it out. Like I said, they're kind of just roughed in, but you know, that's a little bit of a gap that I'm probably gonna add material to this piece and then kind of sculpt it before I set it in there and then weld it in. Everything else, this is low, so that's gonna kill that gap. Still gotta set these in there and then cut them to fit, because I did bring them in just a little bit. That's gonna be kind of fun. I left a little material on there so I could kind of hammer it in there and kind of get it to sit correctly. A lot of work for stuff nobody's ever gonna see. So here I go, forgetting about you guys. I got the pockets kind of tacked in. I'll show you here in a second. And then I went ahead and, sorry about that. I went ahead and removed the engine. I went ahead and removed the motor so that way I could get underneath the bike into the tunnel area and see how I can get that done. Let me go ahead and show you tacked in, because what I want is I have this one cut to the same length to match this one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make something to where I can make sure that the mounts, these actual mounts right here, is it warm? No, it's not warm. So that way I can make sure that that's all square, so when the gas tank's off the bike, it doesn't look like there's two different people installed at each side of the gas tank mounts. All right, let me get this tank off, and that way we can start getting this mount mounted to the frame. That actually looks really good. It's not square to the frame, but it looks really good. Probably have to put a couple of tacks up here and then cut these loose so that I can get it to go up, because as soon as I tap on this, it's not going to go anywhere right here because there's no room, and it'll break these and then we'll have to start all over. All right, got these all leveled up, welded on the top. Got the mounts mounted up there with some bolts. This one as well. Well, that's been the longest, worst couple of days trying to do something that I thought I'd knock out in half a day, and it took 2 full days, broken up into 3 days total. Pretty much done. I just got some little bit more detail grinding to do to kind of clean some stuff up, but I think I'm going to go ahead and leave some of the welds on there so that way my body guy can just kind of skim it real quick, and then I'm going to have him hang it, body work the top and the bottom, so he'll paint the base coat all the way around, and then he can do all the stuff on the outside, but I want the bottom to look smooth and look factory. You want to see it? Check it out. So there it is. And now what we've all been waiting for, the final result. Yeah, I'm definitely stoked on this. Not gonna lie, pretty excited to cut this front part of the tank. Let's get that done. There it is. I need to go through. I didn't weld it very well. I was just trying to hurry for the camera. I'll have to go back through and weld it nice, but that's what it'll look like. No mounting hardware. I think that just makes it look so much cleaner than traditional FXRs. It's a lot of work for a little look. I'll come through and I'll weld up in here. I'll weld that piece up. Weld it all smooth and then taper it in here, maybe add a little bit to about here. And then up here, I'll probably add a little bit down here so it closes up this big old gap. And then I will make something that goes here so when the dash sits on it, kind of smooths all of that out. It's all about the details, folks, the details.
I almost forgot to show you after I did a little bit of metal work what it looks like, trying to keep certain things out of frame, but man. I still haven't finished the top portion by the thing. I'm still thinking that one out, but Doesn't that make it just look so good?
I'm Adam Garley and I'm out. Peace. Gap in the front, once that piece is removed, I'm gonna fill that in.